can. If it doesn't work this time, we're going to go from the mobile because it's clearly a network issue. Do, 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 do. Can you hear me? Can you see me? You can hear and see. Lovely. Thank you very much. Hello, Sophie. I was telling you about a horror movie, right? It's called The Dentist. It was on the 18th of October 1996, so I was 20 years old back in 96. And Dr. Alan Feinstein is a Los Angeles dentist who, despite his professional success, quietly suffers from extreme obsessive compulsive disorder and is preoccupied with cleanliness and perfection, and he's psychotic. And it's a great film. As I say, I was 20 years old when that came out, and I'll be 50 next year, so it's a wee while. 30 years, man. 30 years ago. Oh my goodness. Just makes you cringe, doesn't it? When time, I told you, time's going by way too fast. But you'll love it. If you like weird, really weird horror, it's right up your street. I love me a good wacky horror movie. It's almost akin to a B movie, you know. The acting's excellent and it's just hysterical. And the fact that Stuart Gordon's involved with it, well, I mean, say no more. Stuart Gordon, if you don't know, was involved with a cracking film called Reanimator. And if you like your zombies, right, Reanimator is a comedy horror film about a medical student who invents a fantastic serum that can reanimate the dead. The film follows his experiments and the chaos they cause, involving zombies, brain surgery, and sexual assault. It is rotten. It came out in 1985. I was 9 years old when that film came out. I mean, 40 years ago. Wow, 40 years. Yeah. How am I doing, Frankie? Absolutely fine. Absolutely loving horror. I hope you're here for a bit of a horror fantastic morning. Go straight into the afternoon probably, because I'll be ironing all day. You got your braces off yesterday. Oh, that's probably why your teeth hurt. You're going to see Oasis. Wow, Sophie. People would kill for those tickets. I'll be back in a moment. Hello. It's not breakfast yet. Monty. Monty is here. Your mum's going to be... Look, he's... Yeah, I know. Imagine getting tickets to Oasis. How did he get tickets, Sophie? They sold out in seconds. Yeah, they did. And I reckon, right, now I'm not being awfully, because I know everybody's got to make a living, but ticket touts absolutely rip a hole. They rip a hole in everything, the ticket touts. I bet you, whatever they were sold, they were back on eBay or Ticketmaster or whatever, 30 seconds later at twice the price. We had exactly the same problem trying to get tickets to BTS a few years ago. Exactly the same problem. I stayed awake for ticket sales going live. Your boyfriend must love you for buying second market tickets. I have a cat. Yes, I have a cat. His name is Montague. He is a pain in the tail, because he's always looking for food, because he's a greedy cat. Yeah. Anyway, I was telling you about Stuart Gordon's Reanimator, right? If you've not seen that, oh wowee, that is a classic horror movie, and it is quite revered within our sphere, if you like. At the University of Zurich Institute of Medicine in Switzerland, Herbert West brings his dead professor, Dr. Hans Gruber, back to life. There are horrific side effects, however, because you don't like horror movies. Aww. I thought you might. No? Sveta? Oh, Planet Earth, honey. You don't like horror movies? Oh, okay. Well, we can talk about something else. My cat, 18 months old. He's a baby. He's a Norwegian forest cat. And he's still growing. Apparently he's going to be a big lad by the time he's finished. He's going to look like an angry cloud with feet, because they get very fluffy. I mean, they're fluffy in this summer, but they're not very fluffy. You know, they will get fluffier. And wintertime, they're like balls of fluff. He's a baby. Yes. He's some teeny tiny babies. Aren't you? He's wondering why I'm not feeding him. Well, I happen to absolutely adore and love horror movies, horror books, anything horror related. I'm down for it because it's what makes me happy. Definitely. But if you're not a fan, what do you like? Dystopian? Because that's something else that we discuss on here, and nuclear war, end of the world, pandemic novels, utopian, dystopian. Any of that take your fancy? Do I like the Beach Boys? I think some of their music's okay. It's from a certain time in the past. I remember one of their songs being very popular in the horror movie Teen Wolf, starring Michael J. Fox. And also, it was played a lot in the film Good Morning Vietnam, the one that Robin Williams did about the DJ Adrian Cronauer, who died back in 2019, I think he died. Yes, I know, one member died. He did. It was music of its time. It was America, wasn't it? The surfing thing that they had going for a few years, and the Beach Boys did very well. I think they were in direct competition with the Beatles, or round about that time anyway. Anyway, I have to be very, very careful talking about music on here, Sophie, as you might be well aware. Talking about music of any kind could get me flagged and then my channel removed, so we better be very careful. Yeah, so I have to be really, really careful when mentioning bands and music on here. So if we can not do that, that would be great, because otherwise I'll get this channel flagged and then we'll have to stop the live. Okay? I'm okay talking about the area that I'm in though. I can talk about movies and horror and things like that, but I just can't do the other. Okay? I know, darling. I might have mentioned it before. Exactly. But I was last time, somebody got my live cancelled because they wouldn't shut up about music. And I had to cancel that live, and I nearly lost my channel that night, so that wasn't very nice. And when you work for something for so long, you tend to be a little bit more protective of it. I spent a very stressful night that night, awake all night, talking to people over at YouTube, sorting it all out. And they ended up removing those lives. They just took them out. So yeah, that's what happened. Very stressful evening. So anyway, yeah, it's 40 years since Reanimator hit our screens, and I absolutely love that film. It's Lovecraft H.P. Lovecraft, basically. Yeah, H.P. Lovecraft's Reanimator. Oh, so much fun, so funny. There we are. Sorry, here we go. Right. I'm going to talk about something nice. In myself and Perry are working on a new long form video. There is nothing else like it on YouTube, and it's within the channel scope of books. Oh, not many at the moment, my darling, not enough. 1,920-ish. It's not a lot, darling. I'm only a baby channel. And that's why I get picked off pretty quick. Ooh, let's see that one coming. So I'm only a baby channel, and I've not been going that long. I know I joined in 2013, but I didn't actually physically get going until the 1st of December 2023. Incidentally, that was the day that Monty was born, but we didn't know that at the time. And we didn't meet Monty until March of the 2024, and after Orca passed away, my old boy, he died of cancer. And that was we were absolutely heartbroken, and my husband, being the type of guy he was, couldn't bear to see me so sad and crying myself to sleep every night. So he started looking for a new little guy that we could adopt, and he found Monty, and he said, this little guy needs a home and he's not very well. And so we made inquiries to Monty, and you know, maybe we could adopt him, and we were very successful, and we did. And he's the love of my life. He's my little Monts. He's yammering for some breakfast, but somebody else is going to feed him. Because I gave him some food earlier. You think you've never seen food before? You think you've never seen, you know, cat food before? But he has. And he's been fed. And he's just been a nuisance. Because he wants more food, and if he has too much food, well, he's going to look like a barrel. And that won't do him any good, will it? He's a growing lad. He keeps telling me, I'm a growing boy. How can you starve me? And I'm not starving him. Crikey. There's some clothing in these bags, isn't there? Would I rather what? I love Robin Williams as well. Yeah. I think he's a great actor. I love Night at the Museum. And he's playing the role of the President of the United States of America. He's a good actor. Oh, there's a person at my front door. That must be the postman. Oh, yeah, I think, yeah, it's definitely the postman. Oh, Ellie, I think. Is this one for you? Oh. Yeah. Parcel. Not for me. Huh? Well, people can subscribe whenever they want to, Sophie. You know, it's not a massive thing, really. You know, everything will come when it's meant to. Yeah, everything turns up when it's meant to turn up, love. That's the joy of the universe. They do say that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And that's the beauty and joy of living in the universe that we do. We just have to wait and see what's going to happen. She's not fed you yet. Right. It's all right, buddy. You'll be all right. It's not breakfast yet. You've had breakfast. You've had 2 breakfasts. You're not having any more breakfast. Honestly. Right. I just, oh. You would think he'd never known food. He has. Oh, hello, Hunter. What's these? These are shorts. Right. I thought they might be. Ginormous. Lovely shorts. These are like what my husband would wear. Very nice. Very stylish. There. Oh, how lovely. Oh, you, romance is not dead. Oh, I know of a very good book, actually, called The Boyfriend. I think R.L. Stein wrote it. I'll have to check that. Yeah, The Boyfriend, R.L. Stein. Oh, that is such a good book. I love anything by R.L. Stein. He did the point horror. that's a blast to my past in the 80s and the 90s. Point horror books. They were so popular. All the girls read them. Gosh. Oh, point horror books are something from my past that give me so much joy. Hello, Mr. Monty. You yammering around my office, looking for food, eh? I know you're there. But I also know that I'm working. And I am. When I was away, I think he got into a fight because he's got a war wound across his nose. Go find her. Go find her. You've got that book? The Boyfriend by R.L. Stine. Oh, yeah. Basically, sometimes love is murder. Too bad about Dex. He was in love with Joanna. She broke up with him, and then he died. Joanna's sorry, of course, but it's not her fault he's dead, is it? Besides, she doesn't care. October the 1st, 1990. Oh, my goodness me. I remember having a copy of it in my hand. Yeah, I love R.L. Stine. I have a few of his books upstairs. Originals, of course. First editions. I wouldn't do without them. I like the Peter Yolandis one that I had called The Yearbook. Oh, gosh, that makes me happy. Peter Larangis. Yeah, The Yearbook. If you've not read that one, that's an absolute treat. It's not like your other point horror books, really, because Peter didn't do that many. And the ones that he did do... Oh, excuse me. Oh, dearie me. Dust. It's basically... the story is about teenagers at school who, for no fault of their own, have the pit to the oracle underneath their school, and there is a creature that lives within that pit that eats the students. It's just brilliant. I mean, if anything was crying out to be made, into something for Netflix, it would be the Yearbook. It screams it needs to be done. And as they're having a little bit of a revival with the point horror through, you know, what's been done on Netflix recently, I just think the Yearbook would be a really good one to do. Oh, okay. I'll look for it. How old was I? I was 25 when I got married. Yeah, in 2002, I was 25. Yeah, so I turned 26 that year and had a baby. Lexus, hello. Gultam Pari, hello, hello. Hello, everyone. I'd like to see the Yearbook being made into a point horror for Netflix, definitely. That would be so good. So anyway, they've got this monster that lives in the bottom of the school and it's eating the students and it's just flipping brilliant. And it calcifies them. And a teacher and a police officer know all about what's going on, and they try to help these two students stop the monster with giant bottles of fizzy drinks, right? Which is hysterical, and it's just a brilliant story. Oh, okay. Oh, are you off? Are you off to get some breakfast? That'd be nice. Very romantic. You know, you got to remember to do these things when you're young. Take care, Sophie. See you later, love. Have a nice breakfast. I hope your teeth stop hurting soon. What a sweet girl. And do you know something? We've kept our signal. I know I've said that, I'm probably going to drop out, but there we are. Yes, I'd really like to see that Peter Urangis one done. Definitely. Either if Amazon get hold of it and turn it into their version of a point horror. But I am absolutely loving the Prom Night, which is the latest edition of the Point Horror series by R.L. Stine to hit Netflix. It is so nostalgic. It takes me back to my childhood. There's a poster on the film that I had in my bedroom when I was a teenager back in the 80s. And it was the Lucio Fulci zombie poster. You know, the iconic one that you see on the cover of the video cassette. Ha! That shows how old I am. And I had that poster up in my bedroom. I had all the greats. I had Alien, I had Predator, I had all the Back to the Future ones. I had John Carpenter's The Thing on my bedroom wall. All the Nightmare on Elm Streets, the Halloween posters, and I had the Friday the 13th. So I had them all over my bedroom. I can see my room now. And I had George A. Romero's Night, Day, Dawn, and Day of the Dead. The original trilogy. I had those on my bedroom wall as well. And I had the iconic television series Red Dwarf. And I keep saying that in my office I should have more posters up, and I never have done it, but I should do, because I spend so much time in here. I should have more posters. I should set up a P.O. box, and then if people wanted to like send posters and things like that, or books that they want me to review and stuff, then, you know, at least they've got a way to send stuff to me so that I've got a chance to read in it. I really ought to get it set up. Tell you what I'm looking forward to is working with NetGalley. I'm waiting for a book to come through from them that hasn't been published yet, obviously, because it's an advanced reader's copy. And I'm looking forward to reading it, that's for sure. Gosh, I'm doing a lot today. I've got a lot of ironing that needs to be done. What's that, my darling? Oh, a British P.O. box is around £45 a month. Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad. When I get a bit more established, I think that's something that I should look at. Yeah, definitely. What I really need is to start building the hours up again, because we've lost a lot with me going away. I think I've dropped back by about 30 hours. So I've got to try and get that back. And it will do. It will do. You know, we can't expect to have potatoes immediately. We've got to grow the things first. But you know, with 2,500 videos on the channel, there's got to be something for everybody, right? And as long as people are prepared to be patient and work with us, then great things are going to happen. I've always said the key to success is if you're successful, everyone else around you is too. And you can't run a business from a book. You've literally got to get out there at the coalface and start digging. Got some shirts now. And lots of t-shirts, aren't we? Wow, we're up to 17 items already, and it's just going up to 5 to 11, which is good. I can honestly say, running a business within the United Kingdom at the moment is beyond challenging. It's really hard work. And I am so grateful that I started this business that I'm doing now over 14 years ago. Because if I tried to get going doing this that I'm doing now, I would find it beyond monumentally challenging. I'm getting through it quickly today. I hope so. I've got another 3 baskets after I've done this one. So I've got my work cut out for me, that's for sure. But, you know, speaking business-wise, I'm glad I started this business 14 years ago. We took a hell of a hit back in 2020 when obviously the COVID kicked off because nothing was happening. I constantly worked the whole way through. It was tough, man. It was really tough. Helping people, you know, in a voluntary. I mean, obviously, I wasn't doing anything with what I'm doing here. I was doing it voluntary, and it was hard. It was impossibly hard. How we kept going, I've no idea. But that has sort of been a wake-up call, if you like, into what I'm wanting to do now, which is to change completely from doing this, because with the best will in the world, and as much as I've loved doing this, I can see the writing on the wall. Quite literally, as the song goes. Shouldn't be mentioning songs, but there we are. You can see the writing on the wall. You know what it's like. Anybody that's in business at the moment knows what this country is going through, and it's going through a hard time. There are more businesses hitting the wall than ever before. People are going bankrupt left, right and centre. It is frightening. It is very, very scary. And my advice at the moment would be, if you've got a stable job and a stable income, and you were then thinking about maybe swapping that for working for yourself, I'd stay where you are at the moment. I'd definitely stay where you are and do your other. If you want to really do your own business, then do it as a side thing and don't make it your main thing until you've got yourself pretty well established. Making the break between the two is hard. And it's exactly what I'm doing. I'm making the break between this business that I've got here that I have worked very hard to get going, and it's at a junction where I've got one that I'm trying to build up, one that I'm trying to slow down, and it's trying to manage the two so they run concurrently at the same speed. And oh boy, it's like trying to get a drink at a fire hydrant. Gosh, 5 million. That's a lot. Oh, that's a lot. And it's going to get bigger, that number, isn't it? That number's going to get bigger. And I just know, I can feel it in my bones. It's really quite frightening. And I feel as though we're being taxed to death, taxed into infinity and beyond. And I'm terrified. You know, the thought of having to do what I'm doing now until well beyond retirement is enough to turn your blood cold. You know, you just think, if that's the only thing that's got going for me in the future is working myself into the grave, that terrifies the hell out of me. And I don't think I'm alone in that situation. I'm pretty sure there are lots of people that are in my age group, my demographic, that are thinking the same thing. How long am I going to have to keep working? How long am I going to be absolutely hammered for taxes? You know, you're on this planet for such a short amount of time. You should not be flogged to death just so you can participate in the act of breathing. Because crikey, don't give them ideas, but I'd hate to see them tax that. I just think we're going in the very worst direction that we could possibly be going in right now. And whatever the policies that have been put in place are clearly not working. You know, we've got bright young things that are coming out of university with degrees and they can't get jobs. And does that not scare the living hell out of you? Because it does me. You know, that's a horror, isn't it? That's a horror story in itself. You can see the headline now. Just when you thought you'd paid all your bills, along comes the taxman. UBI, Universal Basic Income. Think about how close we are to robotic workforces. A lot more jobs will go. I know. I mean, it's just absolutely terrifying. And basically what I'm trying to achieve is a cushion between that happening and, you know, I don't want to spend the rest of my days worrying about how I'm going to afford to live. And I think everybody is in that situation. And it upsets the heck out of me. It really does. Yeah, everyone will be on UBI. Absolutely horrendous. You know, you're going to have your very, very rich and you're going to have your very, very poor. And the middle class, the bit that holds the gel of the nation, the backbone of Britain, is just going to be eroded to the point of it's just not going to exist. And then everybody's going to start blaming us for not working hard enough, when all we were doing was working and working and working until we dropped. And then that wouldn't be enough, would it? I mean, that's a horror story in itself. You know, it's like we're being punished for being alive, you know. I believe we're being set up to fail. We are. Yeah, I just absolutely feel as though we're being set up to fail. And that is a horror story, isn't it? You know, we're encouraging our youngsters to go off to university, to get a degree at great expense, and all this needs to be paid back, and these poor souls can't even get jobs. So how on earth are they supposed to pay it back? It's just one giant con. And I feel like we've lied to the young kids. And yet here I am, sending mine off to uni. But it's in a science subject and a health subject that both my girls have studied. But I also see their plight. I think the whole system needs overhauling. I think there's too many universities for a start, and I think it would be good if we went back to what we originally had, which were polytechnics, colleges, and Russell Group universities, right? Which are your red brick ones. And only, I know it's going to sound a bit elitist, but if you're intelligent enough, you'll be able to get yourself into a Russell Group university. You will. Because I don't think everyone's geared up to go to university. And I mean, certain people are very good at going ahead and doing that, and good on them, right? Doctors, nurses, scientists, veterinarians, we need them. We need those. We need engineers. And we need teachers. We do. We need teachers. But, you know, we need to have degrees that are going to bring something of value back into the workforce. And I don't think there should be, you know, there should be a bit of a demarcation between a degree that's going to bring value added back to the country, and then you've got your other degrees, which not so much. And maybe the polytechnics can take up the slack with that. You know, people are still getting educated, they're just not having to go into debt for a degree that's not going to bring them anything. You know, a few years ago, CSI was the big thing, and everybody wanted to be a forensic scientist, right? Which is great. lovely. Unfortunately, there aren't that many jobs out there that, can employ all these forensic scientists. There's just not many positions, and yet they were turning out thousands upon thousands of these forensic scientists, and there was just nowhere for them to end up going. So there they are, they've got a degree in this science subject and there's no job. And it's just compounding upon compounding with that problem, and I just really, really feel it for the students. I really do. I mean, we need teachers. We need writers, yes. But the teaching aspect of it, yes, you need a degree. I would say maybe being a writer, I don't know, maybe they do need degrees. Maybe it comes from the heart. Perhaps they're in something like advertising. I know you're there, darling. I know you're there, and you're being cute as a button. But you are not having extra snackies, because you will get a fatty. Won't you? Hey, Mr. Monty is just, he wants feeding all the time. And we've fleed him, and we've wormed him, and he's a little so-and-so, and he still wants more. We get shirts. Oh, there we are. Sometimes they get buttoned. Yeah, it's tough. It's a toughie. I don't know. The whole system, though, I really feel it needs a massive overhaul. The universities are laying staff off left, right and centre because the money's just simply not coming in. And the worst part about it is they've invested heavily in student accommodation and borrowed heavily against the institution of which the learning environment is within. So we'll take, for instance, Huddersfield University. They've borrowed heavily to build brand new facilities for their students and brand new accommodation for their students. And they are now so heavily in debt, they're having to make quite a lot of their lecturers redundant because they just simply can't afford to employ them anymore. And they're relying heavily on overseas students coming in to be able to pay off the crippling loans that they've taken out to build the properties to house the overseas students. And of course, with the more overseas students that come over, you're going to have the lecturers there to teach them, and you're going to have the buildings there for them to live in. And it's just a spiraling death spiral that they're in at the moment, and whether or not there'll be an actual viable financial institution able to teach the students that are coming in from overseas at a very pretty penny. You know, it's costing an absolute fortune for these students to come over, and they have to pay everything up front because there's no student loans. Everything has to come from their pocket, so they've got to have very rich parents, and there's just not enough students coming over anymore, and therefore the money's not going in to pay off the crippling debt, and more lecturers need to be let go of, and then the whole system does that until it disappears of its own. Yeah. I mean, what do? Do they file for bankruptcy? How can you file for bankruptcy when you've got some students that are halfway through their university course at a tune of nearly £60,000 per student? What? How do you solve it? That's an awful lot of students that aren't going to get their degrees, that are in debt, and probably ain't going to be able to finish their education. And if that does not worry you, I don't know what will. And it isn't just that university that's in that problem. That it's like that up and down the flipping country. I mean, I told you I was going to talk horror. Well, that is a horror. And it's like you're watching a bunch of precariously piled china and wobbling because the wind's buffering it, and it's which bit is going to drop first and smash, because once that starts, everything else will teeter-totter with it, and you just watch it implode. It'll be, I wouldn't want to be a student if that was what was going on. You know, thank God we've only got 1 year left to get her through. Because the way the whole system is like a house of cards. The whole lot's going to come down. And it's going to be absolutely terrifying when it does. Because it's not just going to affect just the students. It's everybody that's employed there. It's the financial problems it's going to cause. The ripple that will fly out from that, it will destabilize the financial system that our country is currently balancing on a knife edge with. You know, you're worrying about inflation and everything else. It's the whole gambit that I'm worried about, the whole lot. And I'm watching it, and it's creaking and it's wobbling, and I am absolutely flipping terrified. You know, have you ever heard the saying, 9 meals away from anarchy? As in that if you miss 9 meals in quick succession, you are pretty much angry and, you know, on the point of rebellion at that point. You know, we've got a health service that can't take care of itself. The dentistry side of the NHS is on its knees. It can't afford to take care of the patients that it's got. Your doctors are now going on strike because they're not being paid enough. The nurses are following suit. Right, so I can see the NHS in its current format not surviving, and I hate that because I love what it stands for, and everybody's paying their flipping stamp to make sure that the NHS keeps going, because without a health service you ain't got a backbone for a country. It's the same with education. The same with your armed forces and your police force and your fire service. You know, everything depends on everything else. And the whole lot is just under that much pressure. And then we've got these stupid policies that have come in regarding how you pay your taxes and your PAYE and your national insurance contributions and everything. And it's just going absolutely down the flipping toilet. And I don't normally get so politically motivated, but I can't stop myself today. I'm so disgusted with how this country's being run at the moment. It's frightening me. So I told you I was going to talk about horror. I just didn't think it was going to take this bleaker turn. And then you got young couples that can't get on housing ladder because they're just not earning enough money because house prices are ridiculously stupid. You know, who can afford a £250,000 mortgage on today's wages with the way that the world is having us pay through the nose for absolutely everything? It's just impossible. And that's this 3-bedroom starter home. And you want your kids to go to a nice school, don't you? So you've got to pay to be living in a nice area and you can't afford it. You know, having a pet is going to be seen as a luxury before long because no one's going to be able to take care of the poor little darlings. RSPCA is going to be overrun with kittens and puppies because no one's going to be able to afford to feed them. Absolutely terrifying. There we go. Right. Yeah, it is. It's absolutely terrifying, the whole thought. But it's a famous saying, is the 9 meals from Anarchy. And it is absolutely, once you miss your 9th meal, man, yeah, the terror, the thought of not eating again and not knowing where your next meal's coming from. I can understand these poor souls. You know, all they're wanting, all anybody wants, is a life filled with happiness and love. It doesn't matter if you're super rich, it doesn't matter if you're super poor, or does it? Of course it does. There's too much going one way and not enough going the other. I feel as though we're on the cusp, right, of an ethnic cleansing of the poor. I really do. You know, especially living in cities, you know, where they're needed. You know, these people are grafters, they are workers, they will go out, they will be your hotel chambermaids, they will clean your cars, they will do the washing, they will do the ironing, you know, they will do cleaning, they will do anything just to get by. And I just feel as though they're being punished. I really do. And you look at the youngsters today that are just trying to get by. You know, they've given up on the hope of being able to own a property. Right? The only way that some of these young'uns are going to get on the property ladder is if somebody within that family regime dies and leaves them a pot of cash. Other than that, they ain't getting on the housing ladder. You know, unless their parents are incredibly rich, and in which case they can turn around and say, I can afford to give you the money as a deposit to get yourself on the housing ladder. You know, and that is a dystopian world right there. A better, cheaper economy. Exactly. An economy that's fair to all. I am so fed up of hearing that word. We're going to give businesses tax breaks. No, what that stands for, right, is if you're a very big business and you're being given a tax break, what are you going to do with that money? You're just going to let it sit in a bank account and gain interest, right? Because money makes money, right? That's how it works. And they're not interested. A tax break to them is a few more £1,000 in their pocket. And a tax break to somebody who's struggling to make ends meet and is working 40 hours a week and still hasn't got anything left at the end of the month to even flipping well go out and afford a bag of dried pasta, right? A tax break to them is the difference between starving to death and not. You know, putting it bluntly. You know, you want to stimulate the economy, then you have to work from the bottom up, not the top down. Trickle down economy does not work. It trickles down into their pockets and they bank the cash and sod the poor man that's underneath right at the bottom, because he's not even going to get a drop. He really won't. And it's the way it is going. They started doing trickle down in Reaganomics, right? They started doing that back in the 80s. Margaret Thatcher liked it and thought, I'll implement that over here. And why do you think that she was called Margaret Thatcher Milk Snatcher? Because we used to get a bottle of milk at school, you know, and especially for the poor kids, that bottle of milk, you know, was really important to them because, you know, they weren't getting the nutrients at home. And then she decided that as education minister that it was costing the country too much money and she was stopping it. Anna, instead of looking long term, the very short term views. And it's soul destroying, just watching the country crumble. And it's a slow moving apocalypse, this is. It really, really is. It's a real slow moving one. And people are being eroded every single day. They're being eroded away. And it's got to the point where no one is going to be able to afford to do anything. And people are they're just going to completely disappear. You wonder why the rate of suicide in this country is through the flipping roof. Gee, I wonder. I always think about a George Orwell book called Animal Farm. You know, the one with the pigs, Napoleon the pig, and Nelson was the big cart horse. And Nelson was worked and worked and worked until he dropped. And then the pigs decided that he was of no use to them anymore, but they could get one last thing out of him, and they sent him to the glue factory. And I think I'm not wrong in saying that's what's happening here to this country. We're being worked and worked and worked until we're absolutely no use to them whatsoever. But they can get something out of us for our deaths. You know, they can work us until they can shove us in a nursing home, and then they'll tax us to death to pay for it. So anything that we thought we might leave for us kids, we're not going to get the opportunity to do so now, because that's going to have to go in our nursing fee home. Or we just don't go in a nursing home, and you know, we end up being a problem and a bed blocker within the NHS, because we've got nowhere to go, because we can't go home and take care of ourselves because we're too old. And our families can't take care of us because they're not equipped to do so, because by the point that we're at that stage, let's face it, we're an economic inconvenience. And it does upset me when I see that that's what's happening to the country. But you know what? My rant's over now. I'm feeling better. I've had my jam and my toast. I'm all right now. What? I know, but it's not dinners yet. It's not dinners. You need to be a good boy and stop mowing. You're going to get your dinner soon. Promise. Anyway, I feel better for that. Got it off my chest. What I'm saying is, if there isn't a general election soon, I think the country may force one. Wouldn't that be fun? But I mean, what can we do? I have no idea. I don't know where to put right what's gone wrong. Mm-hmm.